Now, I've titled this webinar, How to Avoid These Costly Mistakes, right? That's the title. But it really should have another name altogether. And I don't know about how you're wired, but I'm one of those people when I go to spend money or try something new, I always want to know one thing, and that's how do people mess this up? Is anyone like this? So we'll call this AKA how not to screw this up. So let me ask you how you're feeling right now. Are you feeling maybe a little concerned? Some people are uncertain, they're stressed out, maybe intimidated by the whole process. What even goes into selling your home or moving? Maybe you're anxious, uncertain. Like I said, here's the thing. I remember what it was like when I bought my first house. And even as a realtor, a couple of years, 2 years ago, yeah, 2.5 years ago, when I bought my first house with having my license. So I bought two houses so far. And when I first bought my house, my mind was just blown with all the pieces and the uncertainties and how emotionally stressful it was and everything that I kind of had to go through, just like you guys in the audience tonight. And so I want you to know at the end of this presentation, our entire goal tonight is that at the end of this presentation, I want you to feel in control and at ease with the whole process so that you feel like we got this, we're okay. Now, you might ask, who am I? Who is this person talking? And how many of you, just let me know, how many of you have worked with a real estate agent who seemed more focused on themselves than you, or even just listening to you? I just want you to know that's not me. And since day one, I've been focused on helping people like you sell their homes while also guiding people to buy their homes that they want. This is one of the most important transactions of your life. And so I take that responsibility very seriously. I've been fortunate to help over 80 home sales happen across Arizona and Oregon. And I take pride in making the process as smooth as I possibly can for my clients. So selling homes is rewarding, and so is helping people buy, but there's just really nothing like when you hand somebody the keys to their first house, or just making sure they got the check for the sale of their house and they're able to go retire and everything. Who am I? I'm responsible for quite a few transactions. Presentation's really not about me, but I'll just give you a quick synopsis. My big why is my girls. So I got my two girls in this picture. Been in real estate over 5 years. I'm an Air Force combat veteran. I went to Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, deployed there. And I've been ranked as in the top 1% of realtors in the entire city of Phoenix. There's about 70,000 real estate agents, and I was fortunate enough to be ranked in the top 1%. And I think that it's because I'm not so much focused on myself, but it's because I love homeowners, right? And they love me. These are just a few of my many 5-star reviews, as you can see. So, enough about me because this is all about you and how I'm going to help you. So, what I've learned in 5 years is that most sellers screw this up. They do. And based on 5 years of doing this, I can tell you that 90% of homeowners are leaving money on the table or at the very least having a very frustrating experience. Our job today is to help you see around the corners so that you're the most well-prepared homeowner in Arizona or Oregon or wherever you might be. So, what are the steps to selling your home? The first is finding the right real estate agent. The second, pricing the home competitively, setting a home selling deadline, a timeline, so you can figure out, okay, how we plan this out right and make it work. Preparing for it to go on the market. I've helped clients do this before, where I'll pay for a home handyman to come out, make any small repairs. We've even done inspections for the home seller so they don't have to do anything and there's no surprises. And potentially, if it makes sense, stage the home for maximum appeal. This can be especially helpful if it's vacant. Again, those are all questions we'd answer in a one-on-one conversation that we'd have. Then listing your home and accommodating those showings. We want as many showings as possible because that equals as much money in your pocket as possible. Then we'll negotiate the terms of the purchase contract. And finally, one of my favorite parts, which is closing the deal. So mistake number one, I got to have a deep voice to do that. Mistake number one, not being educated on the current market. It's very important. And we're going to touch on a few things, but this right here is the Arizona market. And what's happening in the market, I'll say broadly speaking, is it's somewhat flat. So we had a lot of appreciation going on from 2020 to 2022. And since about June 2022, that was the height in the market. And this is speaking nationwide as well as locally. But home prices have just been sideways. They haven't gone up too much. They haven't gone down too much, pretty much just sideways. And so that's just for you to know this is the median sale price in these markets. You can see down here. In some of the markets, we're seeing a significant amount of appreciation. In most markets, though, it's effectively flat. It's like less than inflation. And then this is Oregon right here. So we got Eugene, Springfield, Portland, and the United States broadly. A little bit pretty similar in terms of the median sale price. And you're seeing about 43 days on market. That's 9 more year over year. So it's taking longer for houses to sell. Now, I just want to give you this information. Again, everything is dependent on your personal situation, what real estate agent you end up choosing, and everything else that goes into it. I know you're at home right now, but can you raise your hand if you like the idea of leaving thousands, if not tens of thousands, on the table? Just let me know if that's something that you're really excited about and would like to do. Yeah, I don't like that idea either. I don't like that idea either. Let me pull back the curtain for just a moment, tell you how my brain works. I like to spend as little as possible if I can help it. I never like being cheap, obviously, but I like to be cost effective. And I think a lot of you out there are the same way. So, what's really interesting is that you can have one house on one side of the block and another house on the other side, and there could be a massive difference. So sometimes our clients, our folks, they will find the home that they really want, but it's just barely out of their price range. So then it's our job to make it fit in your box because the cost of property taxes, home insurance, HOA fees, those are all over the place. The monthly payment, like I said, for two similar homes can be radically different, be literally hundreds of dollars a month different. We're nerds over here about this stuff. And if you ever find that you need to squeeze a little more room out of your monthly budget, we've got several things we can play with to get you into your dream house. I'm going to explain how to do that in just a moment. Here's a typical example, right? So Johnny wants to buy a house. We'll use somebody from the audience, right? We'll use somebody from the audience. So we'll say Charles and Janet are going to buy a house, right? And let's just say the purchase price is about 475. The minimum down payment in most cases, unless you have a VA home loan or you use a USDA home loan, is typically going to be about 3.5%. That'd be about 16 grand, 16, 17 grand. And the total monthly payment approximately would be about $3,000. Now you might ask, okay, Josh, but when are we going to get back to this thing here about leaving thousands of dollars on the table? So there's these things called assumable loans, and most people don't tell you about this. I'll go into the reasons why. But let's just say, again, Charles and Janet are going to be purchasing a house, right, at $475,000. This might require a slightly higher down payment. So it works good for people like you that own a house already and end up selling that house to move into a new one. The total monthly payment amount is going to be somewhere on the order of actually $1,700 or $1,800 because when you assume a loan, you're actually assuming it at the interest rate that the sellers bought it at. So if they bought it in 2020 or 2021, can anyone tell me what type of interest rate you think they probably have? It's probably 2%, 3%. So instead of paying $3,000 a month, your payment's in the 1700s because you're getting the interest rate that seller originally had when they bought the house. Okay? I don't want to overwhelm with the details, but the long story short is often require a little bit higher of a down payment and you can get extremely low interest rate. So that is how we save you a ton of money. And not every property is an assumable loan, but there are plenty of properties out there and I can help you find them. Now, here's two ugly facts while we're on the topic of assumable loan programs. Most big banks will not tell you about these things because they don't make a ton of money on them. And often agents, listing agents, buyer agents, whoever, they won't tell you about them because either one, they just want a quick check, this could take a little bit longer. So sometimes instead of like 30 days to buy a house regularly, this might take 60 days to assume a loan. Again, I'm probably going to wait the 30 days so I can cut my payment in half. That's just me. But often agents, they just want a quick check. So they're going to recommend whatever gets them paid more quickly. I, on the other hand, don't want to do that. I want to get you the best deal. And if I can, listen, if you can save people thousands of dollars a month, they're usually going to be, you're going to be friends with them. And I like having friends. So I want to save my friends money. So listing agents, buyer agents won't tell you about it. One, because they either want a quick check, or two, because they don't even know about it. Mistake number two, sellers will do the right things, but in the wrong order. So a few years ago, I got hooked on the Great British Baking Show. I think they have it on Netflix. In the past, I've tried to make a cake from scratch instead of using a cake mix. So I get all the things, I put them in a bowl, I mix them together, and like you would a cake mix, totally ignoring the recipe's instructions to cream the butter and sugar first, right? Well, what came out was still technically a cake, but did I nail it? No, I did not. And I want you to nail this. I want you to stick the landing 10, 10, 10s across the board. So that's why we got to follow the right path. So here's the wrong path. Stalk Zillow for 3 years. Here's what many homeowners, home sellers do. They stalk Zillow for 3 years. They see the Zestimate for their home and think automatically that's the actual market value without any further research required. Then they get curious. They call a few cash offer firms. They throw it up on Zillow as a for sale by owner to see what happens. They get a million spam calls, no good offers, and finally, they just get tired. They pick a random agent whose friend's wife that they happen to go to first grade together. And that's a true story, by the way, that actually I saw that before. That's the wrong order. Here's the right order, like I went over previously. First, you want to choose a gladiator agent who will work to get what you want done. They're going to pricing the home properly so that it'll actually sell, getting your house ready to go onto the market, then listing your home and accommodating showings, negotiating terms of the purchase contract, and finally, I think probably your favorite part of the deal will be closing the deal. Mistake number three, they sell without the proper guidance, okay? I might offend some real estate agents in the next slide, but here are the two types of agents you're likely to run into when you start talking about selling your home. The first is a handsome sales dude. He makes you feel like you're the only person in the room, smells good, talks fast. I don't smell good at all. Okay. I might be handsome, but I do not smell good. So that's the differentiation there. That's a joke, people. I smell good. Okay. I don't talk that fast. He says it's fine a lot when you start asking questions. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. What is he focused on? His quarterly bonus. Is he focused on getting you a good deal? No, that is not in the equation for him. Or you might run into the friendly sales lady. She can talk to a wall. She started off by asking about your dogs, and suddenly you're signing a 50-page contract. She needs you to sell this house and sell it today, or her boss might fire her. Has anyone ever ran into these types of people? And that might lead you to think, maybe I'll just do it myself. Selling your home on your own might seem like a great way to save money, but let's dive into the stats. 90% of sellers used a real estate agent last year, and that number keeps growing because most homeowners realize how much a good agent helps throughout this process. Only 6% of sales were for sale by owner. That's a historical low. Why? Because it's getting harder to sell on your own. The cost of money has doubled, almost tripled, and I'm talking about interest rates. Here's a key stat. 92% of for sale by owner sellers eventually work with a realtor. They start out thinking they can do it alone, but end up realizing they really prefer and need professional help with this. And 38% of for sale by owner homes that were sold to friends, family, neighbors, it was a very tight-knit deal. It wasn't the typical way to get the highest and best top dollar. And most of those sales, like I said, don't even hit the open market, which actually limits your ability to get top dollar for your home. Bottom line, going it alone might feel like you're saving money, but you're leaving opportunities and profits on the table, which I do not want you to do. So let's go a step further and talk about those challenges that for sale by owner sellers face Many of them struggle to price the house right. They face challenges to hit their desired timeline. And maybe they just found it difficult understanding the paperwork and regulations and what is the process and what goes where and what are these disclosure things and what do I need to disclose? What don't I need to disclose? How do I handle multiple offers? It can be a little overwhelming. I'll be forward with you. But here's the key thing that you want to talk. Let's talk money because that's what's important to most of us, at least somewhat. We need to keep an eye on the money somewhat, okay? It's not the only thing, but it's something. The for sale by owner median sales price was $380,000 in the United States in 2023. Agent sold median sale price was $55,000 more. Now, I'm a quality agent. I have a quality clientele, but I'll tell you right now, the professional fee that I charge to sell people's houses is nowhere near $55,000. So in the end, you're going to come out net ahead, making more money on net. Okay. That's the key point of that. Here's just another chart showing how much money these for sale by owners are giving up. Again, this is why they typically do it for friends, family, neighbors, people that they are close to, because it's not about making the most amount of money. If you don't care about making anywhere close to market value for your property, then for sale by owner could be a good option for you. And even still, it can't hurt to have someone at least just handling the paperwork, which is pretty doable for a good quality agent. Now, let's talk about the hidden cost for the convenience of selling your home cash. On the surface, it might sound easy and hassle-free, but here's what most sellers don't realize. These companies charge a 5% service fee. That's going to be around the amount for a real estate professional fee or commission. So you're not saving money there. And on top of that, you'll often be on the hook for various repairs, some closing costs. Here's the big thing. Sellers typically sacrifice 10% or more of their home's value for this convenience. That's money out of your pocket. On average, the median resale price is $23,000 less than what a average agent could sell the home for. Okay. And if you're not out of the house on their strict schedule, you could face late checkout fees. This could be $150 to $750 per day. The reality is, while selling for cash might seem like an easy option up front, and for all of you out there, I will bring you a cash offer. Whenever we talk, I'm going to say, here's a cash offer for the property. I don't even recommend taking it yet. Let's test the market, but you'll at least have that option, and it's going to be better than one of these other cash offers. Maybe 5% of people who do sell their property, a cash offer could even potentially make sense. This is like for people that have a lot of stuff in the house, like a hoarder house, or maybe someone passed away or something like that. Typically, I would not recommend selling for cash. That's just me. That's my professional recommendation. So bottom line, don't let the promise of this convenience, which they might sell it, you might get cash in 20 days or something. Well, if you can wait 30 or 40 days, you can make a regular home sale happen. And with that, I've sold people's houses from the time that we listed to the time they had cash in their bank, like 20 days. So, and they didn't lose any money. It was just the loan moved extremely quickly. Okay, so here are some of the 5 biggest projects that you can invest in your property. I'll let you take pictures. I don't want to overwhelm with numbers and stuff like that. So if this interests you as far as highest ROI for projects that you could do around the house, feel free to take a picture of this slide. On the next slide are the worst projects. So highest ROI and lowest ROI. These are the types of upgrades that you'd only make if you were staying in the property for a long time and the ROI wasn't really important to you. Focusing on the right ones. Just another chart of best improvements. Here's the problem that many people have when they're selling their home. If you don't have a good agent or somebody, having your back, it can feel like you have no one looking out for you. Here are the real tactics that help you get top dollar. So first, and I'll show you proof of what I do for my clients in just a moment, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can see what I actually do. Paid online advertising to get the property in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So think of it, back in the day, some of you might have gone to like diners and you'd go through the front door and you'd see those pamphlets where they had the real estate listings on them. Has anyone ever seen those? Do you guys remember those? Well, and it's not that's bad or anything. In the modern day, though, instead of maybe getting 100, 200 people, exactly, those homes are always gone by the time you saw them. Instead of getting maybe 100, and that's what people are counting on, the reason they put those out is so that buyers call them and they get clients from that. They're not doing it to actually market your home because of how the timeliness works. Like you have to submit those photos well in advance, they have to print them out, they have to deliver the books, all this type of stuff. With paid online advertising, I can get the pictures today, and your advertisement can be on the internet in front of somebody in another city today. I could do it tonight, and I could have it up tonight if I had the pictures to your property. That's the difference. And instead of showing it to 200 people, I could show it to 20,000 people in a few hours. So in this market, also, second point is putting your best foot forward is needed. Making sure that the house looks great on the internet is vital. You don't get any do-overs on a first impression, as we all know. These are the winning tactics. So what are buyers looking for? Because for all my sellers out there, for anybody that's a homeowner in this presentation, you're probably thinking, well, if I want to get top dollar, I got to think like a buyer a little bit. I got to think about a buyer just a little bit. So what are buyers looking for? They're looking for price, they're looking for the best location, and they're looking for amenities. And then they're looking for to balance the three of those things so that they can get the best possible property for the lowest possible price. I'm sure most of you would agree that's probably what people are looking for. So staging, some of you might ask, is it necessary? The answer is no, it's not 100% necessary. It can help. It should just be done strategically and in a way that actually makes sense for you and yours. Again, we would have a conversation about that. If it makes sense for you, if it's a good idea. We have plenty of things that we offer to our clients where we can actually, as you see on these photos right here, this is my listing. This is to illustrate a point. You can see how much of a difference this would make, right? You can see how it looks more spacious, more updated. And one of the services that we offer our clients is if there was going to be a tremendous upside to doing so, we actually have an offer that we will make to you where we will make improvements to your house, like full on fixes and everything, and you don't pay anything up front. Okay, so that's nice, and you can net a lot more money. Again, it depends on the situation. We'd go through all of that on one of our meetings, one of the appointments that you could book with me. But I just want to let you know that ahead of time. Virtual staging. So some of you might have properties that are rentals and they're vacant, like you don't have anyone in there. We can do virtual staging. So this is really easy to change. It works great if it's vacant, and it can just be changed easily to suit market preferences. Is this making sense? So you can see the before photo and the after photo. 3D tours and Matterports. So who here has used Google Maps? Everyone's used Google Maps, right? And specifically the Street View feature, right? You can take a little guy and you can drop him on and you can look at the streets. You can drop yourself on the street and move along and walk along the street. Yeah, that's what this is. It's just like that, but this is for real estate. So with the 3D virtual tour, also known as Matterport tour, it allows buyers to walk through the home from anywhere in the world. And even if a buyer's 1,000 miles away, let's just say they're in California, they got a ton of money, they're about to sell a shack for $3 billion, as it happens in California. They can navigate the house and come see if it's either worth putting an offer on, sight unseen, or if they should come out and see it. I had a listing, it's on the next couple slides. I had a listing where before we even had the property fully on the market, I was advertising it everywhere, including California, and we had the 3D tour. And so we had a client drive from California, Orange County, drove out to Arizona, right? 6, 7 hours. I showed him the house, sold him the house. My sellers were over the moon, and we were on our way. Best part of it, though, is because they were able to see the floor plan ahead of time. That way, they knew they weren't wasting time. If they couldn't have seen the floor plan, it would have been a really big ask to get them to come out just on the photos alone. Which the photos were great. This just takes it up a notch because we believe in quality. So those green dots, you can actually click them and it'll take you to that part of the house. You can see the full floor plan, everything. These are the types of quality things we do for our listings because it gets our sellers top dollar. Here are the online ads, as I mentioned. This was a house in North Phoenix that I listed on the market. And these are what the ads look like. So you don't have to take my word for it. You can see how it actually is. And here's some of the background. Again, these are just some of the ads we've run, but you can see the reach is enormous, right? So instead of 200 people, a good Zillow listing might get 1,000 people to see the listing. We're getting 15,000 people to see it, 11,000, 10,000, 8,000. We had almost 100,000 people view just these ads alone, and these weren't even close to all the ads that I've run. So this is just to give you a good idea what is possible. And let me know, do you think the chances of you getting top dollar are better if you just go with some other agent, they just throw it up on the MLS and hope for the best? Or if you have somebody that aggressively markets it with quality photos, 3D Matterport tours, everything under the sun, and puts it onto social media, not just in this state, but in other states, so that they can see it and potentially move into your house. We want an aggressive marketer. And again, don't just take my word for it. You can see some of these advertisements were in Arizona, some were in California. We had 3,400 people on this ad alone see the property in California. And that wasn't the maximum amount. That was just one. So on the next three slides, you'll see three different pictures of three different houses. I want you to type one, two, or three, depending on which house you think looks the worst in terms of aesthetics and pleasant lighting. There's no wrong answer here. Just tell me your opinion. So, house number one, this was that house I told you about that somebody came from California to buy it. House number two, think of what is the worst house out of these three. House number one, house number two, house number three. Okay, so three. I would agree with you. They're not apples to apples. They're obviously different, but it gives you a good idea where these types of twilight photos can just really make the house pop. You can see the lighting, you can see the colors are extremely vivid. But when people get these shots of the property and it's broad daylight and the sun is right overhead, it washes all the colors out. It doesn't look good. I actually helped a buyer purchase that property. We got the property for, I think, $15,000 under what it appraised for. Now, question for you folks is if the listing agent had been better and had taken the twilight photos instead of the broad daylight photos, middle of the day photos, do you think we would have gotten $15,000 under what the bank said that the property was worth? Or do you think more people would have showed up, more people would have made offers, and potentially would have pushed that price up? Yeah, a little bit more of an angle would have helped. We don't need to show the entire street. It just doesn't look good. So you need to have somebody that has an eye and a mind for these things. So go to that link, book your call, let's have a talk and see what actually makes sense and works for you. Mistake number four. Again, we got 5 mistakes in total. Here's mistake number 4. Sellers don't price their home properly to get the maximum attention and the maximum offers. Is this making sense? This is making sense to everybody. We got to price it right so that it just doesn't sit. Because think of it. If you see a property on the market and it says been on the market for 180 days, right? 6 months. What immediately comes to your mind? No wrong answers. What immediately comes to your mind when you see a property on the market for 6 months, 4 months, a long time? Problems. What's wrong with that house? Some people think, what's wrong with that house? There's problems. They must have gotten inspected and then it fell out. Like, what is going on with that house? And that's why and a lot of those sellers, they're good people, they're smart people. They probably just got bad advice because the agent needed the listing. And so they were doing anything they possibly could to get it. So they might have told them, yeah, it's worth 600,000 when in fact they knew it was only worth maybe 500,000. That's called buying the listing. I don't do it because I don't need to do that. I want to always earn your business honestly and truthfully. So I'm always going to tell you the truth. And I've gotten fired before. When I say that, I haven't got a listing before because I told them the actual value of the property. They disagreed and they went with another agent who told them it was a higher price. And that person ended up sitting on the market. I actually had a few of those people. They sat on the market, sat on the market, sat on the market, wasted time and money. They fired their agent, hired me, and then we got it sold. So it's all about fair market value. In the first 2 weeks of the property being listed, the most critical. This is the golden zone right here. So I've seen sellers before say, well, why can't we just list it high? Because we can always come down. And like I said, that can lead you, and whatever you end up deciding to do, I'm going to support you 100,000%. Okay. I'm going to support you 100%. But, and when I say that, I'm also going to tell you the truth and my professional recommendations of you got to list strong, you got to be good off the bat, put your best foot forward, because that's the way, if you're priced right, that's where multiple people come in. Then you start bidding, they start bidding. And I go to offer, let's just say offer A, and I say, offer A, thank you so much for making your offer. Really pleased with everything you taking the time to do that. Really appreciate you. I'm going to give it to sellers and I'm going to talk it out. I tell you, then I call interested party B and I say, hello, interested party B. Well, and this is a real buyer. Like they saw it too and they're thinking about an offer. We just had an offer from somebody. And I just wanted to give you a chance to throw your hat in the ring because I respect you and I wanted to give you the opportunity. People like having opportunities. I wanted to give you the opportunity to throw your hat in the ring and not get left out in the cold, basically. And they'll say, oh, okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk to my client. We'll put in an offer. They go talk to the client. They put in an offer. Then I go back to offer A. I said, offer A, I got some news for you. We actually got an offer, a second offer. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to increase or improve your offer in any way, shape, or form that you and your clients feel is appropriate. And I just wanted to give you that opportunity, just trying to be respectful of you. And they'll say, okay, let me talk to my client. They go to the client, maybe they increase their offer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's how you play the game. That's how you negotiate. That's how I get as much value for you as possible. Is this making sense? So yeah, asking price, percentage of buyers. We want as many people as possible in the market to believe that they can afford this house, your house. We're still getting multiple offers. One, you have to price it right. You got to price it properly. You can't overprice it. And two, you got to market it right, which is some of the things that I've been talking about earlier. So the answer is yes, some properties are getting multiple offers. So I'm going to break down just a quick 5 steps to selling your home in 5 days, or not 5 days, in 30 days. I saw the 5 days. Okay, 30 days, right? But here's the twist. We're going to look at this through the lens of cost, and I'm even going to look at it a little bit from the perspective of a buyer. So step one, how much do I need? Let's talk about who is going to be asking for how much and when. First things first, how much does it cost to have our team get you ready to sell and or buy a house? This includes a home valuation, landscaping, consultations, the cleaning. I pay for my clients' houses to get cleaned. I like to take that off of their plate. How much would you guess for all of that? How much are you paying out of pocket? If your answer was zero, your answer was right. So we actually do everything up front. We pay for everything up front. And in fact, we only make any money if we're successful in getting your property sold, which if we price, we will be. So this is even if it takes us a year longer to get you ready to go on the market. I'm not saying we're going to be on the market for a year. I'm saying just to get ready to buy and sell. So we could be doing all this work in the background for months and months. And once you say, hey, we're ready, we'll get you on the market and good to go. Again, this is from the perspective mostly of as a buyer. I want to share this with you so that you can understand the process a little bit better. And some of you might be selling your property and buying another property. So just want to put that out there. If you're concerned about your credit score, relax. We've got you. It's going to be fine. We will figure something out. Okay. So the first takeaway is do not allow someone to make a hard pull on your credit. If your score is like right on the line, this could drop at several points and could result in your interest rate going up if you don't do a suitable loan or being declined for the loan. So soft pulls cost lenders more money, so they don't advertise them. The lender I work with, and I would be happy to give you the recommendation for them to work with them, they have a solution for that, so you're not gonna pay any cost up front. Second takeaway, don't be a hero. If you have some kind of collection on your report, do not pay it off without talking to us first. This can backfire. Just run everything by the team, bottom line. Okay? So let's break this down further. Let's just say you're buying a home, and again, take this from both perspectives. When you're selling your home, the buyer is going to be doing this. When you go to buy a home, you're going to be doing this, okay? When we find the home and execute a purchase offer, we make an offer that it gets accepted, you'll be asked to pay a fee. It is refundable. It's called the earnest money deposit. It's commonly about 1% of the sales price. It's a point of negotiation. This is your skin in the game, okay? Step two, now we're under contract, but we need to make sure that this deal has legs. So I'll typically recommend, and we can schedule for you, a home and pest inspection. This is a general home inspection. It's usually about $400 to $600, and it's always at the buyer's expense. Some loans require pest inspections, often another $150. Secondary inspections that may come into play: pool, septic, stucco, roof, HVAC, plumbing. Costs vary, and some of these may be covered by the seller. I'll talk with you one-on-one, when we have those discussions, obviously. At this point, that's where you renegotiate the deal. So once a buyer makes an offer and they have their inspection, they might ask for some money. I know that if I'm helping you purchase a house, once you sell your house, or just regardless, I'm going to try to get as much money, claw as much money back as I can to put it in your pocket. So the first option, once you've had the inspection results, is terminate the contract. You'll get your earnest money back, and we'll go find another property. Two, you pick two or three like major items, the most important items that you are really concerned about and want done for the seller to perform. They will have to fix these before closing, and they usually owe us receipts and warranties. Now, step number three, this is my favorite. This works best. I've seen it work great for people. Negotiating an additional amount of money, like dollar credit, in lieu or instead of repairs. So this credit will reduce your cash needed to close. It could be used to buy down your interest rate, pay HOA fees in advance, property taxes in advance, tons of stuff. So that is one of my favorite. That's my favorite option, is getting the sellers to give us money. It is an option that buyer agents might try to use on us if they ask for. I had a seller I was helping them sell. We had an inspection. There was some major stuff that came up in the inspection. The buyer asked for a ton of money, like a lot of money, a mind melting amount of money, multiple tens of thousands. And I said, hold on. Seller only ended up paying like $800. So I negotiated him down from $22,000 to $800. Buyers, they took it. Sellers were over the moon because of the result that they got. So anyway, then it goes all quiet. You'll get a request from the lender. If you're buying, if you're selling, the buyer will get a request from their lender to pay for an appraisal. This is typically $600 to $700. Remember, if you are buying, this is not your cue to go buy a bunch of furniture or a Range Rover. That's a true story, or anything else on credit. Just don't do anything credit related. Try not to spend any money on your credit card. Try not to do anything without running it by the lender first. Step five, it's done. We go to closing. You'll hand over the keys, and the title company hands over a big check with your proceeds. Okay, they typically wire you the money electronically, but you get the point. I'm sure all of you get the point. So mistake number five, as a seller, they don't hire a gladiator. They don't hire a gladiator. Truthfully, any dummy can upload a listing to the MLS. And I'll be frank with you, my job is not to show you houses either. I have team members that can do that. That's not my highest and best use for you. My job is to pick up the sword and fight for you, and to use the shield to protect you from harm and to protect your home equity from people picking at it. Okay. We want to keep that amount of money as big as possible. What is a gladiator? Well, can I be a little bold right now and just put all of my cards on the table and tell you what I really want? Can I do that? Could you let me know in the chat if that's okay? Can I just be super bold, let you know exactly what I want? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I want your kids to go to a better school than you did. I want you to put on more equity faster and retire earlier because I squeezed every last dollar into your pocket by the hair on our chins, okay? I want to make the impossible possible, and selfishly, very selfishly, okay? Disclosing that it's selfish, I want you to be such an insane raving fan because you had such a great service done for you and you made the right amount of money and everything was taken care of. I just want you to be an insane raving fan and tell everyone how good your realtor was. And now is the time to fire theirs. How's that for being bold and upfront? What do gladiators do differently to help their clients sell their property? When someone says your home can't sell for top dollar, we don't believe them. We don't believe in the three P's. Most agents, they'll put it on the MLS, they put a sign in the yard, and then they pray somebody else sells it. That's not how we operate. We don't see, if we don't see enough interest from buyers, we'll proactively reach out to find somebody who's ready to buy. We'll stay up late adjusting our strategy to maximize your home's exposure. We're going to negotiate hard with people, some of whom are difficult. We'll leverage marketing strategies like high quality photos, 3D tours, Matterport, Twilight photos, social media ads, and we're going to consume copious amounts of caffeine, which I have right here, caffeine gum, copious amounts of caffeine, and analyze every listing in your search area to find you the one that we can negotiate for you to an extreme degree. Is every tactic we use going to work? No, it's not. But we'll pull out all of the stops until the problem submits. Here's what we look like. And when I say we, I mean me. Here's what I'll look like when it's over. So look, that's an AI. Again, what's the right order? Choose a gladiator agent that is going to work for you to get what you want done. Then price your home properly so that it will sell. Get your house ready to go onto the market. List your home and accommodate showings. Negotiate terms of the purchase contract. And finally, yes, finally, closing the deal. So let me ask you how you're feeling now that we've had this presentation. I've given you a tremendous amount of value. Are you feeling a little less concerned? Are you feeling a little less stressed out? Are you feeling less intimidated, less anxious, and less uncertain? Your job is to tell me what you really want. So you're going to tell me your issues, going to tell me the things you're going through. You let me worry about how to fix it and how to make the things you want happen to actually happen. So what I want you to do right now, this has been helpful to you. If you just want to get a feel for things, if you want to see what your personal situation looks like and how we can actually help you, go ahead and book a call. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't want you to get stuck though, okay? Also, you get some exclusive bonuses, which is not only the Real Estate Wealth Academy, but the extra modules that you'll get on top of that. But if you book tonight and we end up working together and we close it, we sell a house or buy a house, or you refer somebody to me that buys or sells a house, you are going to get a yearly entry to win a vacation to Cancun for two. You're going to get an exclusive closing day surprise home seller gift basket, and you will get exclusive network access to our home vendors, which if you're not moving, if you are moving, you're going to get immense amounts of discounts. So please don't get stuck. I'm going to put on the timer real quick. I hope that this was helpful to you. I'm just going to put on like a 7-minute timer, a 7-minute timer. I think you guys and gals can see that. Now we are going to get into Q&A. I'll go back to the chat, just see if there's anything here. Are we getting multiple offers these days? On some listings, yes. Again, is dependent. So how to live in a house and show it, even if you have a dog? That's definitely a great question. I myself have a dog, so I want to make sure that like my dog's not getting kicked out without any warning or anything like that. So if your dog is in the house and you're trying to still show the property, there's two things. One, I would always give you like 2 hours prior to any showing, just so you have a heads up and you don't get surprised by anybody. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, if you have a dog, I do recommend for any showings is taking the dog and leaving. I don't recommend you stay at the house when you do have an animal. It just makes the buyers more comfortable. They feel less rushed. They can fall in love with the house. Some people are uncomfortable with dogs. They are. So that's a important thing. So I would just take them, throw them in the car, go for a ride, go for a walk, something like that. What can you do for a buyer who owns solar but is not paid off? How have you negotiated this in your previous deals? That's a great question. I think we just had one in August of last year where there was solar on the property and I was representing the buyer. I've represented sellers before in that situation. There's two choices there. One, the buyer basically assumes the loan. So they take over the loan payments for that solar product. And that is not always possible, but it can be. It just requires the buyer's debt to income ratio be pretty good, like for it to have room so they can buy their house and assume the solar lease or solar loan or solar lease, depending on what it is. Or the sellers have to pay it off when they sell. So they might have to take a portion of their proceeds and pay off the solar. Or they can pay off a portion of the seller and the buyer can bring more cash to the table and pay off a portion of it. There is variation there. So it does depend on like the situation. Is it a lease? Is it a loan? But those are typically the three kind of options. Is one, buyer assumes that gets like they basically take over the loan. Two, seller pays off the entire outstanding balance. Or three, it's a combination of the buyer and the seller paying off the outstanding balance. How can you negotiate a contingent purchase while selling your home? So what I recommend to my clients is really two things. One, we make both properties contingent on each other. So this way, your sale does not go through until your purchase happens, and vice versa. This way, you don't end up with two houses and you don't end up with no houses, right? You don't end up homeless and you don't end up with two mortgages. Obviously, sort of tongue in cheek, but the first thing is we make each sale contingent on each other. So both only happen if both go through. So I've helped dozens and dozens and dozens of people buy while they were selling their home. It requires communication. So communicating with the buyer agents like, hey, this is contingent. We are not selling this property unless we purchase the next one. So we just want to let you know that up front. And if you're honest and straightforward with people, it's very easy to figure out. It's very easy to do. You basically just make both sales contingent on each other and communicate fully and transparently with the buyers. And for a lot of you here, I don't know if you were here at the very start. I've actually sold properties in Oregon as well as Arizona, from Portland to south of Portland to Roseburg, Eugene, Springfield, and everywhere in between. So like several hundred, I think 200 miles distance between that whole area towards the coast and out into the inland of Oregon. In regards to Arizona, I have experience selling all over the Phoenix metro area. So whether it's Scottsdale or Phoenix, the Southeast Valley, I've been really prominent in the Southeast Valley. And I think of it like this. Think of Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan, I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan, although, yeah, okay. I'm an inch shorter. That's my claim to fame with Michael Jordan. But the thing is, like Michael Jordan didn't care if the game was played in Phoenix or if it was in LA or if it was in Chicago. The game is the same. And I'm talking about the fundamentals of helping people sell their properties. It's the same neighborhood to neighborhood. And so a lot of agents will say, I'm the neighborhood expert. Well, I'm the real estate expert, and I can help you transact anywhere and everywhere. It's really just, though, about the fundamentals and being competent and experienced with those fundamentals. That's what I've found. How are you selling homes in Oregon when you are in Arizona? That is a great question. One, I often fly back to Oregon because I do have demand. People are asking me, hey, come sell my property, come meet with me, this, that, and the other. I just jump on a plane, fly up there. And then I'll take a few listings and come back down. I try to stay in Oregon during the summer as much as I can and stay in Arizona in the winter, again, as much as I can. The long story short is, one, I don't have to be in the physical, especially because I'm more of a listing specialist and listing expert. I don't typically need to be like in the geographic area. I can meet people on Zoom. I can send them all the documents. I get the photos ordered. I can do pretty much everything remotely. And I have a team in place that can, run out to the house, show it at any time, do things like that. When it's needed, I've shown my own listings and sold them. I had a $1.3 million listing. This was last year. And I'm the one who showed the property. And like the buyer agent did not do anything. They just showed up. I met the clients there and I sold the house. I talked about all the features, did all of that because I don't really trust the buyer agents to do so. Book today. I will give you a full, accurate home valuation. I really want you to book today to get everything taken care of. Don't put this off. People do that all the time, and then they end up with either bad information or they have to scramble last minute and they get a bad agent or whatever it is. I don't know if you saw at the beginning, but we can actually help you get what's called an assumable loan, which could make your interest rate 3% instead of 6 or 7%. So you would basically take over the interest rate that the seller has. And if they bought in 2020 or 2021 or even early 2022, I could actually help you get that interest rate. So you save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month. My name is Josh Sayre. I am heading out. So really appreciate all of you. I will see you on the other side. Have a great night. Talk to you soon, folks.